welcome back to the Boozers Basketball podcast where we like to drink beer and talk about basketball with friends. I'm your host for today, Amir Motamani. I am joined by my co-host and guest, Vanik Panosian. How's it going, Vanik?
Good, man. How you doing?
Not too bad.
Not too bad. I know exactly how happy you are right now.
Yeah, well, physically a little tired. Unfortunately got COVID for the first time. Dodged it for 2.5 years, but it's been a week, so I'm recovering. So I might be a little low energy, even though I am extremely juiced up and excited about yesterday's game. So really excited to have you here today to do a quick recap of the Eastern Conference Finals Game 6 between the Miami Heat and the Boston Celtics last night, and also would love to do a quick preview of Game 7. So luckily, we are privileged with another Game 7 because the West Series was not as competitive. So winner goes to the finals against the Warriors. So where do we start? What a freaking game, man. That to me as a diehard Miami fan was pure torture. And the other two teams that we have in common that we both love to root for, the Giants and the Niners are equally or probably more so torturous, but no game has been easy for the Heat. They've been known to either start off slow, pick it up, do really well in the third quarters during these playoffs or in the regular season, and then in the fourth quarter, that half-court offense typically seems to slow down and become stagnant, and the ball doesn't move as swiftly, and teams come back, right? So even if we've had a double-digit lead, which I feel like the Heat have had so many times in the regular season during the playoffs, we always seem to blow that, right? So it's pure torture. But, oh, man, just Jimmy freaking Butler, Jimothy James, Jimmy Bartholomew Buckets the third Butler. What a freaking game, man. I mean, his heroics were legendary. Like, what are your thoughts on that as a non-Miami Heat fan, just a general basketball fan? What was your perspective of that game? Like, where does that rank, like, in terms of the history of playoff performances?
I mean, the dude put the team on his back when they absolutely needed him the most. I mean, he almost had a 50-point triple-double, and on very, very, very efficient shooting. It wasn't like he got those stats by shooting 35 times. I saw a stat the other day for that. I think it was like maybe the PERS on his stat line was like the 12th best statistical performance in the playoffs. I mean, like I said, I mean, he basically contributed 50% of the offense. So yeah, huge game. That's the Jimmy that the Miami Heat needs, and like I said, he came through for the team.
Yeah, what do you think changed? So we know he has a gimpy knee. We know like everybody in the playoffs are hurt right now on both sides. But Game 3, he missed the second half, right? He only had 8 points. He was like 3 for 8, like, which isn't terrible. But for him, he's been shooting like 56%, averaging 56% field goal percentage throughout the entire playoffs, right? Like, he's been having amazing games. And he got hurt, right? And he didn't come back. He had the knee inflammation. He missed the game in, I think it was Game 3 or so in the first round against the Hawks. So this came back. And then the following two games he played, and he went 3 for 14, I believe, in both games, right? He had 8 points or 6 points and 9 points. And so across those 3 games, he was averaging 9 points per game. What do you think changed, like, in this game? Because I thought he was washed, right? I thought his knee was just not allowing him. He had no lift. You could see he has no lift. There was how many times did he steal the ball in the passing lane, intercepted it, went for the drive, but like didn't attempt to jump over Jaylen Brown. He like waited, pump faked, and one was a handoff to Bam where he had a huge slam. The other one was a slam by Max Strus. In the past, like, he would have ran full speed and most likely dunked those, but he couldn't even get to the hoop on those interceptions. So what do you think changed, like, between games 3, 4, and 5, and then finally in Game 6 to put up a performance like that?
Well, I mean, one of the things, according to him, was apparently a phone call from Dwayne Wade. So Wade reaching out to him and basically tell him kind of that he's built for this, and I think kind of gave him some added motivation. The other thing, too, just as a team as a whole, I kind of want to sidebar and talk about this, but Draymond Green, man, I think the guy might be playing some 4D chess as far as mind game goes, because after they finished their series off, he goes on Inside the NBA and says that he thinks, or he's that their next opponent in the finals is going to be the Celtics, which, complete disrespect to the Miami Heat. And I think that kind of gave them some added fuel, right? That everybody's already written him off. I mean, it wasn't just Draymond that's written him off. I've written him off. I've picked the Celtics too, right? And I think just national media in a general sense. I mean, Miami is very, very underappreciated and very disregarded in the media. So I think Draymond there, his comment was very calculated, because I just feel like I got a good pulse on what Draymond's doing, and I think it was a win-win comment from him. I think if the Celtics end up winning and advancing, he's right. So nothing big there. But I also think that ultimately the Warriors would probably prefer to play the Miami Heat. So lighting a little spark under them and kind of getting them to push a little harder and potentially even upset the Celtics in the series is another win for the Warriors long term. So I think that played a part too. I mean, even after the game, people like Udonis Haslem, PJ Tucker, they all brought up what Draymond said. They didn't say anything before the game, but after the game, they all brought it up as far as like, hey, you got, writing this off.
That was funny that Udonis Haslem and PJ Tucker definitely after the game mentioned, that kind of fueled the fire. I'm sure just the general media and just everybody pretty much was predicting and projected and picked the Celtics to win once the Heat blew that, game 5 home court advantage for the second time. Like this playoff series has been insane. Like we've blown home court, got it back, blown home court, got it back twice in the same playoff series. Like incredible. I thought that was funny when Draymond said that. He was probably playing that 4D chess that you're mentioning, or he was just clowning the Heat and just saying, hey, this is over. Just like Miami's underappreciated, right? No one considers them the actual number 1 seed. They don't have the superstars or the rising stars that the Celtics do, right? So who knows? Maybe he was doing this again because he's like, hey, I want Miami Heat to freaking win. So it goes to a game 7. So these guys can continue to beat the shit out of each other. And that will be rested for how many days? 7 full days, I assume, right? When did the Warriors clinch? Was that Wednesday or Thursday? Or no, it was a Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
Tuesday. They were going to have full 9 days off, right? And these two teams, like, I think it was kind of maybe fuel to get under the skin of the Heat to a Jimmy Butler, right? These basketball players watch the media, right? They Google themselves, they pay attention, right? When when there's outlandish stories out there about these players, or even if there's good stories around these players, they pay attention. So Skip Bayless,
Warriors clinched on Thursday, right? On
Thursday. Okay, good. Yeah, so about a week still. But that's funny. It just makes me think that Skip Bayless back, I think it was against the Sixers, was saying that Victor Oladipo wasn't getting playing time because Jimmy Butler doesn't like him. And like it was either game 5 or 6 after they won, probably 5 because they lost 3 and 4. And this is when they started bringing up shit about Miami, right? Because they can't say anything positive. They can only talk about the Jimmy Spo debacle and argument against the Warriors in the regular season, or like they're trying to pretty much bring us apart, right? So they're saying Victor's not getting minutes because Jimmy doesn't like him, and Jimmy's a diva, and Jimmy, like, they're trying to go towards that narrative that Jimmy's difficult to work with. And then I remember Vic going into the podium, the game where Vic had 23 points, I believe, or 20 points off the bench and was dominating. He was like, hey Jimmy, like, he's like, they dabbed each other, and he said something along the lines of just like, hey Jimmy, yeah, you didn't want me to do good tonight, did you? Like, just like taking a stab at Skip Bayless. So I know they read this shit. So going back to that, I think, yeah, Draymond is just starting shit, and he's smart. I love Draymond for that. He's a genius. He's a genius, man. I hate Draymond because he's not on my team. Otherwise, if he was on your team, he'd be my favorite player.
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah, let's look at the box real quick, right? So I wanna praise certain players on both sides of the court. It was a close game at the beginning, right? And I was just praying and hoping that it would be a close game as a fan. So I think the first 4 games were all 20 plus point blowouts, right? It's not the final score, but at one point each team was either up by like 20 or 30 points. There was no changes in score, right? It was just like one team was leading the entire game. Game 5, that changed a little bit. The Heat were competitive in the first half. There was like 4 lead changes in one game, like in the first half, and that was like the same amount that there were in the first 4 games combined. So This game was pretty close at the beginning. So if you look at the box, so first quarter, it was 29-22 Miami. Second quarter, 19-24 the Celtics. And so it was really close. I know it was back and forth, but I felt like Miami had a lot of control, even at the beginning. Do you feel the same way?
Yeah, I thought you could just tell early on, man. The 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 Heat, it was, it wasn't a blowout, or they weren't building some like really big lead, but they were just in control the whole game. And then the Celtics were just, even every time they'd go down by 10, they kind of battle back to get within like a possession. And whenever they were about to, you felt like they might turn the score and get a lead, they just couldn't. Either they didn't do it or they didn't hold on to it. And I would credit the Heat, dude, timely shots. Like, I think Strus only hit three threes, but all three of them were like very critical shots at critical moments of the game. Like right when you thought like the crowd was behind it, and then like I said, like the Celtics were going to overtake them on the lead. Strus hit some very timely shots, and then even near the end of that game, I think there was about 2 minutes left, and then it's tied game, and Jaylen Brown gets fouled, goes to the free throw line, and chokes two of the biggest free throws. I think if he hits those two free throws, honestly, I think the Celtics go on to win it. Instead, he misses both, and the game stays tied. Jimmy comes down and gets a 3-point play. Celtics again don't score, and then PJ Tucker goes to the line and hits two free throws. So they go on Brown misses two free throws, and Heat go on a 5-0 run.
That
And it
was
just
it.
kind of it sealed the game, man. Those missed free throws by Brown were critical. And like I said, I thought it felt like, oh man, the Celtics are going to actually, end up winning this game after all. But I mean, the superstars, Tatum and Brown, the fourth quarter stats, man, they just completely shit the bed. They had the opportunity to win that and close it out at home, but again, the Celtics, like you said earlier, this series has been so unpredictable, right? Like, I mean, you're going from one game's a blowout, the next game is, the road team wins, and just back and forth. So I almost feel like whatever you're guessing, the opposite's going to happen.
Yeah. And it's funny you say they shit the bed, and they shit the bed in the sense of not shooting the ball, right? I think Jason Tatum took one shot and Brown took zero.
Yeah, and then Tatum had four turnovers just in the fourth quarter. I think he finished the game with 7.
Yep.
But if you're going to be that go-to guy, and we're comparing you, to Kobe and all this kind of stuff, man, you look at the other side with Jimmy and what he does. Jimmy's just ice. And dude, the shot that he hit, where I still even thought it was kind of within range, the fading, it was just inside the 3-point line by the bench.
Yep.
He made that shot, and it's, I mean, hand in his face, perfect defense. And that shot that he hit ends up putting him up 6. Just Jimmy, like I said, it was, I mean, he MVP of the game.
Yeah, that was with 47 seconds left there. Um, were they up by 3? I think they were up by 3.
No, they were up 4 when Jimmy hit that. I
Oh,
think that
4.
shot,
Okay.
that shot put him up 6.
That put them up 6. Yeah, it was like 107 to 102 or 101 to 107 or something like that after he hit the jump shot. And there's 2.2 seconds on the shot clock. Like,
Yep.
reminiscent of game 1 against at home in Miami. He had like a kind of like a baseline jumper in Tatum's face as the shot clock was going down, like with the last
Yep.
few minutes. So, yeah, incredible timely shots, as you mentioned. So Strus had finally 3 shots. He was 0 for his last 14 in the last 2 games from 3-point range, and he was shooting around 43% average, right? So for him to not be able to even knock down 1 in the last 2 games was hard. He started off 0 for 3, and it felt like, here we go again. He got 1 dunk from that one Jimmy interception, right? When Jimmy again had no lift, couldn't jump over Jaylen Brown. So he, instead of jumping up for the layup, he kind of pump faked, waited for the cutter. It was Max. He came for the dunk.
Yeah.
But yeah, he hit one specifically at the end of the shot clock, like, which was like a 29-foot 3-pointer with like one-handed in Tatum's eye. I think that was like towards the end of the third quarter, where we were either up 1 at that point, and that put us up 4, or it just barely put us up by anywhere between 1 or 3 points. Don't remember the score exactly, but just timely shot. And Kyle Lowry, which we need to talk to about in a second. I'm going to get through the box score numbers. That way we can just like look through each individual player, talk about them real quick, see who the impact players were. But so yeah, first half was really close. Yeah, the Heat were up by 2 going into halftime. Third quarter, box scores, Miami was 34-29. That was when the Heat took a 12-point lead at one point. So Kyle Lowry was contributing. Max Strus, to your point, hit some big three-pointers in that quarter to put us up by 12. I believe he hit 2 3-pointers consecutively. Victor Oladipo hit a 3. Kyle Lowry hit a 3. So third quarter was really good. Fourth quarter, 29-28. So we won 3 out of 4 quarters, which is pretty impressive because a lot of the Celtics fans out there in the first few games were like, the Heat have beat us in 2 quarters. We've beat them in 9. And like, it's like the Heat are up 2-1, right? This was after game 3. So it was nice to see us actually compete. But if we look on the Heat side, so Jimmy Butler, 46 minutes. Holy shit. I didn't even realize he played, 46 pretty much the entire game on a gimpy knee, which is crazy. So I guess having Dwayne Wade call you and having Draymond call you guys out, is the motivation and feel you'll need, and just everybody counting you out. But 47 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists. Jesus, 16 for 29. Field goals, 4 for 8 on 3, which is ridiculous. 3 for 3 in the first quarter, and 11 for 11. I think that was a huge indicator that Jimmy was into this game. If you look at the last 2 games combined, he had 4 free throws total. Last game, he had 4 free throws. And then game 4, he had 0, right? So no lift, wasn't aggressive, was just taking a lot of jump shots, right? Like wasn't able to intercept passes. Like, so I don't know. Did Mr. Miyagi come out at before this game and do his little, trick when he touches Danielson's leg to heal him, right? Like, I don't know what he did, but like some trainer in the back must have like Mr. Miyagi his knee because like he came out aggressive. And then like if he's getting those free throws, he still didn't have his lift, so he wasn't like hunting people as much. He was hunting Derek White, you could see, but he wasn't like posting him up, dominating him, backing him down, jumping over him, but he was still hunting him. He was hunting Peyton Pritchard religiously in game 1. If you remember, we had like 16 free throws. So
Pritchard barely didn't even basically play this last game. Their rotation, the Celtics kind of went with the hot hand, which was interesting. But I was like, man, I thought maybe Pritchard got hurt because he, like I said, I think he played just a handful of minutes. But Derek White was just so hot, and you'd think like, oh, hey, you got Derek White's production, but Derek White's production actually just ended up supplanting the other guys that didn't show up for the Celtics. The normal. Right. Williams had a horrible game. Marcus Smart's running around out there as a decoy too, man, because that ankle, again, obviously not a doctor, but that guy's got at minimum a grade 2 ankle sprain. The fact that he's out there, we know he's just like Jimmy Butler, PJ Tucker. Those guys are just pit bulls. They're just out on the court, even if they're injured. But Marcus Smart had a really, really bad game. I think he was like 1 for 9 from 3 or something like that. That killed him.
Yeah, Marcus, 14 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. He was 4 for 15, so ineffective field goal percentage. 1 for 9 from 3, 5 for 5 free throws, 1 steal, 2 turnovers. So, the ankle's definitely hampering him for sure. I'm sure Reggie's knee. Reggie, I thought he played pretty decent. 12 points, only 1 rebound, which is bad. 5 for 7 field goals. His field goal percentage is always going to be high. 2 blocks. So I guess he wasn't as effective. These injuries definitely are lingering and hurting these folks.
Dude, both sides.
Both sides for sure. Bam Adebayo, I don't want to get into it. Too long of a story. Like 41 minutes. Great on defense always. 6 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 for 6. 6 shots, man. 4 turnovers. Like he just looks scared at times, like he just was looking for that DHO like the whole game, right? Dribble handoff, trying to get Max, Duncan when he played for a little bit, Kyle the ball. It's like he's not looking to attack.
So right now, I think the knock has been that his actual good statistical games have come when the opposing star center has been out. So like even going back to the Sixers,
Embiid
being out, that's when he had his big games. And then the big game he had in this series was when Williams was out. So that's something that they got to figure that out.
Yep, 100%. And Kyle Lowry, I want to give him the most flowers outside of Jimmy Butler because this dude is trash. He's been washed. I know it's the hamstring issue.
Flopping around everywhere.
I hate that guy before he was on the Heat, right? It's like it's kind of a scenario of like this guy's on my team. I don't hate him that much, right? It's not like one of the players I hate the most, but he's one of the guys I
He's,
hated.
he's not your James Harden.
I mean, he is in that category of like to other people, sure, but like I've hated him. Like every year playing against him, like I'm like, oh, we're playing against the Raptors. Like here comes 3 charges from Lowry, right? Like he's just flops like a fish. He annoys the hell out of me, but he's on my team, so obviously I get to enjoy it
Yeah.
for once. But 18 points, 37 minutes, first of all, 18 points, 4 rebounds, 10 assists, 5 for 14 shooting, not great, but 4 for 9 from 3, which was great. 4 for 4 from the free throws, 1 block, 1 steal, only 2 turnovers. He looked so washed last game. He had the worst statistical playoff performance, I think, by any Heat starting point guard veteran ever. 0 points, 0 for 7, right? Last game, 1 rebound, nothing, no assists, 3 turnovers, 5 fouls, like no steals, no blocks. Like for him to like actually step up, shoot, hit some big threes. One of the biggest threes again was when the Celtics were down 8 or 9 in the fourth quarter. They started chipping away. Al Horford hit a 3 that tied the game, and then 2 seconds later, he had a pass to Derek White in the corner where he hit the 3-pointer. They're up by 3 with 4 minutes to go. Jimmy Butler comes down, hands it off to Kyle Lowry from the corner, hits a 3, ties the game. Right, so huge timely shot. So I want to give my flowers to Kyle Lowry for stepping up as a vet. I was scared that he was so washed. He has 2 more years, 30 million each. And so I think based on last night's performance that it's the hamstring, right? Like he's older, he's been away for most of the playoffs. Like obviously there's inconsistency there. There's cardio issues there we need to address, but glad to see that recovery. Max Strus, 13 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 for 8. PJ Tucker, 11 points, 5 rebounds, 3 for 4 from field goal, 2 for 2 from 3, 2 steals. Huge dog. I know you're a Rockets fan, so quickly, what do you think PJ meant for the Heat for this game, like especially in that fourth quarter?
Dude, PJ's all the intangibles, man. If you looked at his box score and he had 0 points and 3 rebounds, I couldn't care because you know what he brings to the floor and to the mindset of the team when he's on the floor. He's not a guy that you want on your team for fantasy purposes. He's on your team because he's doing all the extracurricular stuff. He's like stopping runs. He's throwing his body on the court, getting loose balls. He's taking the charge. He's he's setting the right screen. He does all the dirty work, and I think that's why he's so coveted. I'm surprised Milwaukee Bucks let him walk after last year winning the title. I'm super happy for the dude because he's again one of those guys that you just cheer for. You love his storyline, and it's hard not to root for people that play that hard and with that level of passion. So I mean, just completely irreplaceable, man, for that team. And he just fits what the Miami Heat are, right? Whether it's Haslam, Jimmy Butler, Lowry, like that veteran mindset of just being hard nosed and just doing whatever it takes to win. I mean, dude, game 6 in the Garden, elimination game for them, for the Celtics to move on to the finals. And dude, what a game to pull out, dude. Crazy.
I just was so nervous watching that game yesterday and just hoping that we pull it off, and ecstatic that we get to see a game 7 tomorrow. So let's end real quick with just the Celtics box score. I already mentioned a few players, but Jason Tatum, 45 minutes, 30 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, 9 for 12 field goal percentage, or 9 for 12 field goals, 4 for 7 from 3, 8 for 8 from free throw line, 1 block, 2 steals, but 7 turnovers.
Yeah, those guys, they didn't play horrible. It was just that when it came time to shine in the crunch time minutes of the fourth quarter, Brown and Tatum disappeared and Jimmy shined. Period.
100%.
It was a really good game. It was like there was no like, oh, let's complain about officiating or let's complain about that. It was a good heavyweight type of game back and forth, and it was like within striking distance, even for the Celtics. Like you never felt like they were out of it, and Miami just deserved to win the game. They made the right plays at the right time. They hit the shots when they needed to. They took the charges. I mean, even Oladipo, kind of another unsung hero, dude. I think he had the best plus minus on the Heat. His box score necessarily wasn't the prettiest, but he made very, very, very timely defensive plays for the Heat.
Oh yeah, he contributed to that 12-point lead as well, where he hit like a 3. He had a couple steals, throughout that game. That charge at the end where Jaylen Brown was going for that dunk. Thank God they were able to review that right without a challenge because we both used our challenges. And so if it's in the restricted area, they can double check to see. When then within double checking, they're allowed to see if it was actually a charge or a block if he's outside the restricted line. So like Victor Oladipo putting his body on the line. Heat number one in charges in the NBA. They had like 180 in the like regular season. Number two was your Houston Rockets. I don't remember the exact numbers. If the Heat were like in the 150s, you guys had like 70 to 80 total. So huge. All right. So before we jump off, Game 7 tomorrow night. Just a few words. What's your prediction?
I've even though this series is completely unpredictable, and obviously Miami going back home, having the edge. I've been saying Celtics. I'm gonna stick with the Celtics. I'm not backtracking now. So I'm saying Celtics by. It'll be a close game. It's not gonna be a blowout, but I'll say like Celtics by 8.
Okay, wrong bet. So I'm gonna put the Van Damme meme in here. Like I said, wrong bet.
Look, it's on him, man. The whole bet's on Attila. Wrong bet. Ah! This dude's gonna kill your ass, man.
I said the Heat in 7. I think we don't lose 3 games at home this series. I don't think it's possible anymore. I think we took back all the momentum. The only way we don't win is if Jimmy's knee is just completely done after that game. So thanks for jumping on today, Bonnie. Really appreciate the time. Really excited for tomorrow. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. We'll be putting up some more content next week. So thanks again for hopping on. Take care.